Okay, hi again. It's Julian Sale from Motorize, your electric vehicle store. We get asked all the time about recycling of lithium-ion batteries and every other kind of bit and piece that goes into an electric car. And it's a great topic. It is definitely worth talking about. I think the gas and petroleum industry spends a lot of money to discredit electric vehicles. And one really easy way to generate a lot of negative interest amongst people who aren't ready to adopt electric vehicles is to attack electric vehicles based on non-recyclability and the dangerous existence of lithium-ion batteries. When you think about the number of batteries on the road, whether we're talking about old Priuses, which started production in 1998, or whether we're talking about newer stuff like the electric vehicles such as Nissan Leaf, Tesla, you name it, there's all sorts. Every single one of those cars has a big battery. Leaf battery weighs over 800 pounds, a Tesla battery considerably heavier than that. So you think that's an awful lot of batteries on the roads. We're talking in the millions now when we include Asia and Europe. So are they recyclable? Well, yes, of course they're recyclable. If you've been in and around the automotive industry for any amount of time, you'll know that Lordco and other local retailers of automotive parts will take back the 12-volt battery that's contained not only in electric vehicles, but also in a traditional gas or internal combustion vehicle. So what that means is that even at the end of its lifespan, a traditional $100 or $200 lead acid battery still has a whole bunch of value in it. In the recycling world, they have about a $10 value. So automotive service shops will collect these as they replace them. They don't throw these things in the garbage because they're worth a whole bunch of money. An automotive service shop like Canadian Tire or CMO's Automotive, or you can pick the name, it doesn't matter, they all have a pallet full of batteries, and once every couple of weeks or once a month, the recycler will come by, pick up the batteries, take them away, and then issue payment to that retailer in exchange for their spent batteries. Those batteries are then dismantled mechanically, the lead is contained, the sulfuric acid is contained, the plastic is recycled. This stuff gets filtered, cleaned, refined, and it gets turned into new batteries once again. Well, the lithium-ion battery market is no different. Same thing with nickel metal hydride. Now, these markets took a lot more time to develop because they're much more complicated than a traditional lead-acid battery. So with lithium-ion batteries, which is really the focus of today's electric vehicles for now anyway, so electric vehicle battery recycling, and we're talking about lithium-ion battery recycling, has been around for more than 20 years. We'll include a couple of links in the description that will show you battery recyclers that are functioning and working today that have put a lot of time and money into the engineering of the recycling process. In the past, it's true, it was very cost prohibitive and energy energy heavy, the process of recycling these batteries. Nowadays, there's a cold process that does not require a whole bunch of energy to heat up these components from the lithium-ion batteries in order to break them apart and recycle them and separate them down to their base elements so that they can be reused. This process can now be done with hardly any heat energy whatsoever. So it's a cold process, which means you're not using a lot of electrical energy in the recycling process. And over 90% of the materials that are held within a lithium-ion battery end up going back into new lithium-ion batteries for future use. So they are totally recyclable. Now, common theme on Facebook and everywhere online really, a lot of the haters, and haters be hating, they always say, well, why do we want to support electric vehicles? Think of all the lithium-ion batteries that are going to wind up in the landfill. Well, that's a false comment, really, and that just comes from people who haven't really taken a moment to think about this. Just like gold and platinum and copper and aluminum, a lithium-ion battery is actually made up of valuable elements that are worth money. So if a lead-acid battery that's 100, maybe 200-year-old tech, if a spent lead-acid battery from your Chevy Camaro is worth $10 when it's completely dead and has no useful life left in it, just imagine how much a Nissan Leaf or a Tesla Model X battery is worth when its useful lifespan has been reached. They're worth a lot of money. So, for example, Nissan puts a core value at $1,000 on these batteries. So that means if you take a lithium-ion battery into a recycler, which is going to happen on the back of a truck because they're so heavy, the core value is probably over $1,000 for most of these. So anytime you see somebody comment on Facebook, hey, think of all these batteries, they're going to end up in the landfill. Well, I would love if somebody would put one of these batteries in the landfill, because I'd rip down there and go get it with my trailer behind my Leaf. I get $1,000 every time I pick one of those suckers up. So no, they're not going to the landfill. Yes, they're recyclable. Yes, it's an efficient process. Yes, it is still expensive, but these batteries have tremendous value. There's a catch though. Before a lithium-ion battery is ready to be recycled, I'm talking about big, high-density automotive lithium-ion batteries, everything from motorcycles to aircraft to automotive stuff. These things can actually begin a second life in stationary storage or set up for another purpose before they go to the recyclers. So classic example, I had a Nissan Leaf that was in a rear end collision from one of our local customers. I bought the car from her. I sold the drivetrain to a gentleman on Salt Spring Island who's putting it in a 65 Bronco. Awesome. The battery pack that came out of that car had well over 100,000 kilometers on it, but it still has lots of useful life in it. So that's getting shipped down to Portland, Oregon to go in a Chevy S10 pickup truck, which had previously been running on lead acid batteries. So even though the car is done with the battery, and the same thing applies to vehicles that have reached a couple 100,000 K or are 10 years old, those drivers might want to get a new battery for those cars. Where does the old battery go? Stationary battery storage, other modernizations of old EV projects. Nissan has a really cool project in Japan for their local batteries that come out of electric vehicles. They're using a couple of modules, 4 I believe they use out of the Leaf batteries. They're putting those into the base, the weighted heavy base of LED lamp standards for deployment in remote locations up in mountainous regions where there isn't power. So Nissan's found a great use for spent vehicle batteries that still have another useful service life of 10 years or more in conjunction with a smaller solar panel. So batteries are not going from the factory to the electric car to the garbage dump, despite what big oil would love for you to believe. They're actually going from the factory to the electric vehicle to some sort of aftermarket use, and then eventually onto a recycler where they will be dismantled, separated, filtered, cleaned, categorized, call it whatever you want. Those materials and elements then get put into brand new batteries. So when you mine lithium for a battery, it actually goes into several new batteries over the course of that lithium's life. The lifespan of the lithium and the cobalt and everything else, much longer than the lifespan of the actual battery that it was first introduced to. Anyway, I hope you learned something fun today on this video. I certainly did. Follow us on Facebook if you'd love to. It's Motorize, your electric vehicle store, your EV store. Visit us at public events. We do the May Day parade and all sorts of fun events all over town. You can just watch our Facebook page. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be sure to share lots of great information with you moving forward. Thank you.